My mom would be proud of me. She's always said, gotta be on time. My dad too, gotta be on time. All right, we're on, Dominique.
All right, welcome everyone to YouTube Live. Today's edition of Tech School. We are going to be chatting with Sunni Bates. We have the whole team here and we are super excited. My name is Dominique Mcgill and I am an entrepreneur in residence and board member with Startup San Diego. I'm leveraging my 10 years of startup experience and HR background with working with nonprofits, small businesses, and startups. So welcome.
Thanks, Dominique. Stephen, we'll let you start off.
Sure. So just some housekeeping before we get started. Like Dominique mentioned, we got an exciting tech school today. We have a city highlight with Sunni Bates. For those of you who are watching this recorded, feel free to give us a like and leave your comments down below. We want this to be an awesome resource, not only for those who are able to jump on the call, in person today, but also those who are able to watch this recorded on YouTube. So feel free to, give us a like, leave a comment, share your thoughts, ask a question, and continue to make this a community of learning for everyone who's able to tune in.
Thanks, Stephen. Sunni.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks so much for always encouraging everyone else. We're going to encourage you today with their city highlights. We'll hand it over to you.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
I know you're going to do full screen too. That'd be great.
There we go. All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Sunni Bates, and I am the CEO of BlackLogix. At BlackLogix, you can experience landscaping with good sense. So what's the problem we're facing, right? So companies like True Green Landscaping, for example, they average 72 hours a week bidding projects and creating accurate estimates. And with these estimates, the materials list must be flawless. And finally, having experience in this industry is critical. And I'll explain more about that in the presentation. But working in this industry for as long as I have, this has never made sense to me. So how does BlackLogix make sense of this? First, think of us like Amazon. The only difference is we focus on ground cover materials, such as what you see here. We provide our companies with anything on ground covers from mulch to boulders, and we send our customers directly to direct suppliers to locate these ground cover materials. So our customers can either tailor their materials list to match existing, they can search for our materials on the job for close to the job site, they can specify for bidding materials for bidding purposes, and so much more. Now, this is a plan example that customers like True Green Landscape can potentially bid on. But let's take a portion of that drawing and get into some of the complexities of bidding. As I mentioned earlier, BlackLogix provides our customers with suppliers that can locate ground cover materials. So this is the area that we want to focus on. Here, the job calls out for 4,761 square feet of forest bark mulch to be installed at a 3-inch depth. So anything that you see with this image will indicate where the mulch will be installed. So now here's where the experience is required. Can anyone tell me the difference between these products? No? Okay, well, there's nothing except for their price. Yes, this is the same material where specialty dealers can rename the product of this material to remain competitive. So now going back to this project, the job calls out for forest bark mulch. And there's a couple of ways that this can be tackled. So like, let's say our customer, True Green Landscape, doesn't have any experience or knowledge of this product. They would generally quote something generic, assuming that it would be what the architect is speccing out for. And this can actually go in their favor, where the architect likes the price, approves the samples, and then they can go on with the production. Now, it can also go a different way where the architect may not like the price, they can reject the sample, and because this is not what the architect wants. Now, True Green has to go back, try to find that sample, leaving those companies that are more experienced and know what the name of that is to jump in and take that job. Now, again, this is time wasted, money wasted, and still doesn't make any sense. So using a platform like BlackLogix, we guarantee that we can cut that 72 hours that those architects or bidders are putting into estimating by 30% and do all this without any experience. Now, all they have to do, so for example, would just type in forest bark mulch, and they could direct them to suppliers or supplier that sells it. So how does it work? First, our customers will sign up for a monthly subscription. From there, they will type in the materials that they want into our search engine. A list of suppliers would appear where TruGreen can pick from one of them and then submit an RFQ. The RFQ goes directly to the supplier, and then they respond with a quote. And then when the job is awarded, the material is then purchased. A confirmation email will be sent with the date, time, and delivery with a link for them to track the truck. And then finally, they receive the material and they can begin production. Our business model consists of monthly subscriptions where the customer will pay $119 a month for the user. And for our suppliers, any order that reaches $1,500 or more, we get 2% of that order. And with that being said, that is the end of my presentation. And I leave it up for questions.
All right, thanks, Sunny. And be ready to also do what your ask would be if you needed something like that too.
You know what? I do have an ask. Right there. Okay, with that said, I'm asking for a web developer as a co-founder to actually help with this. I do have, I have been sketching out the way I would like the website to look. I do have credits with AWS. I also have a domain set. And I have an accumulated list of suppliers that are interested in being part of this project and be on the website. And I also would like somebody in marketing.
That's great. And you just keep that up. Thanks,
Okay.
Sunny. When a cohort, Trippy said you were on time, you were good.
I know, right?
That's good. So good little shout out, Trippy. Thanks for that part. I'm gonna start off with some of the guest mentors. We said guest sharks. I was talking to some people who were saying they want to be a guest mentor, but they want to be a guest dolphin. So it could be the dolphin part of it was cracking me up earlier today. But I'll start off with Neil. Neil, you've been part of City Highlights for a while. In fact, you're one of the people that actually did City Highlights at the University Club. So Neil's been around for so much. Neil, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, congrats, Sunny.
Thank you.
Great to meet you, and congrats on what you've been building. I'm Neil Bloom. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been mostly in the ed tech space and talent tech space, connecting people for opportunity using platforms and marketplaces. And now I run a tech blog about the San Diego community, Fresh Brewed Tech. And I've got an investment group called Interlock Capital, where we get entrepreneurs to come together to fund other entrepreneurs. So near and dear to my heart of what you're building as well. I wanted to dive in a little bit about your ask on a co-founder. You've been going at it, building this out. The biggest thing that investors look at is that as a founder and CEO, we want to look at your ability to attract talent and attract people who will buy into your vision for the long haul. We're talking 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Tell me about who's the right ideal person, complementary skill sets beyond just technical. Take me through that of kind of who's the ideal person to join you on this.
Well, I want someone to know okay, well, right now I'm not getting funded for this. This is overall, I vision this to be something that'll be big, right? Just like how Amazon, like I mentioned earlier, how they started off with their books, they started off with something small. So I'm hoping that whoever would get into this would be really experienced in it. So when we do have more people to add on to the list, they'll be able to run it for me. And also just pretty much be trustworthy, know the tech side, because I'm not literate of it at all. I can speak some of the language and I kind of get an understanding of it, but as far as the complexities of it, I don't know. And I would want that person to be as transparent with me as I would be with them. And as far as getting not marketing, but getting the people on, I'm good with that because I've been in the industry for so long. So I already have people that are ready to get on board with it. It's just a matter of making this platform work. So that's the type of person that I would need. And like I said, I want them to be trustworthy.
That's a great question, Neil. Definitely the co-founder question is always up. I'll introduce Dominique. Dominique, you introduce everyone else, but you want to tell everybody who you are?
Absolutely. So I shared a little bit about myself with our intro, but I'm Dominique Mcgill, a startup San Diego entrepreneur in residence and board member. I have 10 years experience working with startups in other sectors small businesses and have rolled that into an HR consulting practice. One of my other passions is vegan outerwear, so I'm also working on launching a brand there. Sunny, you sound very knowledgeable about this space. I would love to hear more about like your background and how you got into this.
Yeah, so I've been in the construction industry forever. I mean, from plumbing to cabinet and countertop installation, from all the way to landscaping. And landscaping was actually the last one that I was with. And what I noticed from each industry, they all did things the exact same. And it took so much time. And I like to take shortcuts. And it just didn't make sense to me. So I was just like, how can we do this a different way? So when I started getting into purchasing and in the landscaping portion, I started seeing like some similarities of how they would order things. And I'm like, well, why do we do it this way? And then not just that, like when an order would come over to us, it would have a different name for it every time, but they were all the same job. And I'm like, well, why is this one saying this? And why is this one saying it? So it just took so much time. And for me, not being experienced in that particular with landscaping, but I noticed it was the same thing, whether you're cabinets, whether you're with countertops, whether you're with plumbing, they just changed the name. And I'm like, oh, okay. So why don't we just go directly to this one? And I learned, okay, that's to be competitive. You can change the pricing of it. So now taking my experience that I had with it, I'm like, why don't I just try to make this easy for everybody and try to like do it. And then I always thought of like how Amazon did it when they first started with their books. And I'm like, I could do the exact same thing. So that's how it came about.
Thank you. That's great.
That's great. And also, as I introduce the mentors, they have any clarifying questions too about the general aspect of Black Logic. That's great too. Kyle, I'll let you introduce yourself. This is your third City Highlights. You've been great, but I know even Elliot's on, so that's great. You want to introduce yourself, Kyle?
Yeah. So my name's Kyle. I'm currently a student at the University of Illinois studying systems engineering and design. And my main thing is I'm a project manager for one of the largest consulting organizations in the nation. So I do have a few like clarifying questions. Is what you're developing just kind of like connecting construction workers or whoever it is with manufacturers directly so they can purchase it from them?
That is exactly what it is.
Okay, I think it's a great solution. I would say the only thing I was a little confused in the beginning of the presentation, and so I think for me, whenever I do pitch decks or consulting final decks or something, it's always answer first. Okay. So I would say consider that potentially. I think when you're pitching this, especially, they may be a little confused initially with the mulch, because I initially thought this was just some type of composting. But then, you got into your solution and then I understood it a little more. Okay. But I think what you're going for is really well thought out though.
Thank you.
And Kyle, later on, you can even give anything on the UI, UX side part too, right? Because she hasn't actually developed it out too. So we can think about that too. Mm-hmm. Our fourth mentor, Alicia, and I'm wearing the Bunker Lab shirt, as I said. Alicia, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. My name is Alicia Hannif. Sunny, like you, I started a tech company as a non-technical tech founder. So found myself facing a lot of the challenges you faced and really needing the right people around me right away. Super thankful for Curling bringing me in early on to some of the highlight sessions. I just want to comment. I love that you said, in your ask, one of the big things that you're looking for is a co-founder. And there's a quote that I love, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I think that just, in your ask right away, looking for that technical co-founder is really big. My background, I did 6 years in the Army, worked for several government contractors, the NFL, Disney. worked for a lot of really big agencies, and then found myself, like I said, as a non-technical tech founder, looking for really what success looks like as a woman in this space, and found that the most important thing that we could do for other women like us to be successful is to build an ecosystem that really shines the light on us and helps us be successful. So I launched the Bunker Labs Accelerator in LA, scaled that to about 35 cities across the country, and I'm with you all here today. Some of my feedback initially, and Curling knows this, I'm really big on understanding your why. And you got into it a little bit with your construction history, but we had to ask that. And so really coming out with why this matters to you, why you're in this business, that could be wrapped up even into your problem statement. And then I would just like to know very clearly, what's your value proposition? So what is the problem, who you're solving it for, and why does it matter?
Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, the value to me is time and money that a company can save, you know. And to give you an example, that mulch that we were looking, that I was focusing on mostly in the presentation, you know, I've seen.
And you can go to that slide too, Sunni.
Okay, yeah, sure. So let me see. So this right here, for example, right? The reason why I know this so well is because I used to work for the company that sold it, right? They weren't a manufacturer, but they were a specialty dealer. And I just kind of felt bad for like other businesses, because I'm like, this is a ripoff, you know, like they're getting it for a low price, and they're able to sell it for a high, like marking it up like 50-60%. And then once they mark that up, selling it to another company, the one to the right, they're marking that up too. So like, whether you're a business or whether they're doing B2B or B2C, they're not really getting a deal. You know what I mean? So that was, to me, it's just like, I'm a person of ethics, you know what I mean? And I get it, this is business, I understand. But at the same time, like, I want companies to be able to invest in other things aside from having to spend 72 hours a week, you know, working on an estimate, you know, that they can take that time, that money invested, and do it on other things productive for the company. They could take that time and go home to families, you know what I mean? And that was the value to me. And that's why it was so important for me to do this, because it would just, like I said, I've had that experience. And it was like, you know, even though I had so much vested into the company and so much to getting the job, I still noticed that the time that I was putting into it, it just didn't make sense to me. And I felt like it was something that I can kind of fix. If that clarified it.
That did. And just one other thing is, what is your market size? What does the market look like? I'm pretty right now. I'm going just for general contractors. So it's a pretty decent size. Yeah. General contractors and landscapers. I'm not really too focused on architects too much, but the GCs definitely.
And I believe, Alicia, you were talking more like maybe the TAM size.
Yeah, like the TAM, SAM.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a good one. And that should be a follow-up thing. You should actually have that kind of maybe that TAM size offhand, Sunni. You can have just like, that could be just one slide that could say like how big the market could be.
Okay.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, I would love to see that TAM, SAM, that slide, and then also any competitors that you have.
Okay.
That's great. Professor Clark, any clarifying questions offhand, and you want to introduce yourself to?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sam Clark. I'm a assistant professor of entrepreneurship at CSUSM. Anyway, I'd like to start off just saying, good job, Sunni, presentation. I was going to agree with a couple things that people said. I felt like at the first part, it was a little bit challenging to understand the relationship, exactly what the problem was, right? And you said time and money and as the value propositions. I assume that those are the same, right? I guess they're finding savings in buying the product, and they're saving time by how quickly they can shop online versus searching other ways. Would you say a third value proposition that you're going to present to people is that they can also win more jobs?
Yeah, that is, yeah.
that would be like a suggestion. And I would put those value propositions somewhere up front that says, this is kind of the reason we're doing it. Well, it's going to help you win more jobs.
Right.
You're going to generate more profit because you're going to get the better price, and it will take you a lot less time. So that would just be a suggestion I would add.
Okay. That's a funny thing. Like, I know this, I just didn't convey it.
So yeah, for sure.
I'll go back to Alicia. Can I go back to you? One thing, actually, the whole co-founder piece. I'll go back to one that I asked you. I knew you had some suggestions on maybe where people could maybe find co-founders. Like at Bunker Labs, there was one thing that we had solopreneurs and things of that nature. But do you have any advice on any other aspects of that whole co-founder piece? Especially if you had very similar, having this kind of being a non-technical founder.
Yes. So I think for one, just making the decision to have a co-founder is a big decision in itself. And something that you said early on was, trust. Like, trust is a really big deal for you. You've already started to identify some of those key core values that would be important for you. And so really just, I would even map out all of those values that matter to you before you look at bringing in a co-founder. And then start, like you said, with your asking for people who have those qualities or those attributes. I looked on Angel List for co-founders, really reached out and leaned into my network looking for that technical person. But the main thing was starting with values. And there is another book that I use called Founder's Dilemma by Noam Wasserman, who's a Harvard professor, but he has this exercise called King versus Rich and a few other things that really help you identify like how to pick and choose the right co-founder for you. So that's what I'd say about that. But the most important thing is values, knowing what you stand for, what your values are for your company, and then finding somebody that falls in alignment with that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was good, Alicia. And I love that
Thank
King
you.
versus Rich. That little survey was awesome. So that's a great one. I'll go to actually Kyle. Kyle, you've seen this is at the actual beginning stage, and maybe Sunny, what you could do is show one of your screenshots of what you actually feel like what the MVP would look like.
Say that again.
Can you go your screenshot or your slide that has your UI UX, your MVP part? I always kind of go. I can even call on Elliot too, but I'll talk with Kyle too offhand. Kyle's really great at using this human kind of centered design UX. Do you have any feedback you have for as she initially goes out and looks at what the MVP would look like?
Yeah, I definitely think you're going to need a lot of research if you're trying to sell directly to landscapers, construction workers, people who aren't necessarily using this type of technology. Like, obviously, at large construction firms, you have people who maybe interact with these types of services, websites to purchase from manufacturers directly and stuff. So I think making sure that when you do your user design research, making sure that you're accompanying all the different types of levels of users. So for instance, someone who maybe only goes into the Home Depot to buy their mulch. They never go online to purchase, don't use Amazon or anything, versus someone who does everything through Amazon or those bulk orders from online services. You got to make sure you tailor that. And so your website accompanies that, because sometimes, it may be a little hard for the two extreme users to use the same website, but being able to accompany all of them will really help you gain as big of an audience as you can. I think that's the best solution. Now like looking from this, obviously this is a very lo-fi thing, but I think it's the right way to go about it. Just like, I think it makes sense. All the main points that you have. Is this everything, like the main things that you're going to have on your website?
No. So they'll also have like the MSDS sheets. They'll also have like insight. And this isn't for like how you were mentioning for consumer. It's for going to Home Depot. Normally a GC wouldn't go to Home Depot because they sell like quick things for people or whatever. Or they'll go out looking for an installer. For the most part, this is for B2B pretty much, where a person can buy bulk, where they're getting more than 25 tons or more of material. So I wouldn't expect you know, a homeowner to come here and get something small because I wouldn't make money off. I could, but I don't want to focus on consumers. I want to focus on businesses. So like, if for people that are like doing, track housing or schools or something like that. So those are the ones that I will really focus on. And then another thing is like, what's good about this is that our company doesn't touch the material. So one of the things that a lot of companies like they prefer that are in this industry, they don't, you eliminate how many times the hands are being touched on it, are touching it. So if you're getting like, let's say 25 tons of DG, it'll go from the manufacturer to the specialty dealer, it sits at the specialty dealer, then they load it up and then they bring it directly to them. Sometimes it can go, they take it directly from there, depending on how much they have in stock. But for the most part, like the way that the process will work, they would send that RFQ in, or send that RFQ in, and then once they get it and they approve it, that communication is directly from the source, So they can track it, they can do all that stuff, and they don't have to worry about like any yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think in that case, like, you know, I still think if from a human-centered design perspective, making sure that you encompass all different types of businesses, right? So businesses that are smaller to businesses that are way larger, businesses that don't do that one. Like I've been on this consulting project for a bit, and I think one of the major things that we've been realizing is that we have to make sure we encompass ones who made like the extreme things that like may not exist, even like someone who has not used the internet for their business really. And make sure that like if they saw this website, I'm speaking purely nothing about the actual business proposition or anything, but like from a design perspective of like your actual website or something, you need to make sure that you encompass everything.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We're getting some comments from the cohort. We have like Christopher had some comments too. Christopher, you want unmute yourself, and you had this one interesting comment. I'll let you unmute yourself before I go to the other part.
Yeah, I was just thinking about because it was while I was typing it, I heard that it was mostly B2B, less B2C. But I was just thinking, especially in during the COVID times when everybody is essentially forced to do all of their shopping online, even if it's for these bulk or wholesale service level goods, would it be smart to have like right when you click on the blacklogics.com that it says simplified version or standard catalog version for the folks that do all of their purchasing orders online versus the folks that traditionally would have done it in person? I think that would be interesting. I just wanted to put that out there, like to have that choice. And because ongoing, I think folks are adjusting because of COVID, they'll be adjusting to doing things online that they typically wouldn't have done. And so maybe there are some people that would like to see a simplified UX instead of having to, see a bit more daunting, all of the inventory controls and whatnot. So that was just a quick little thing I thought about.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, of course. That's great.
I have a question.
You got it.
Hi, Sunny. I'm curious if the multi-housing industry and like property managers and maintenance supervisors could be a customer for you. Yes. They're usually the ones placing these big orders, and how you've looked at potentially going after that market.
Well, I kind of know some of them already, so I've kind of been spreading the word out to them. So they're kind of just waiting for the platform to start. The other ones, that's where I was saying, like, I need help with ones that I don't know as far as marketing goes, and as far as I have some contacts that are already in it, but other ones I still kind of working on that. I'm not really good at going to go. I can go to them, but I prefer not to. That's where I need that extra help at.
Yeah, I need an extra layer. I'm happy to help with that. I spent some time working in the multi-housing industry also, with a lot of the different associations. So if I can be helpful navigating that space, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you.
I love that, Alicia. We have some comments more on the chat. I've seen that, but let me go to Dominique. Dominique, you've been doing a lot of great marketing and at Startup San Diego and for other groups, you have some feedback on getting someone who can help with marketing or what that looks like? It's just a question I had, Dominique.
Absolutely. So a couple of things come to mind. First, I am going to give a shout out to Startup San Diego, a great place to look for a potential co-founder. And then my other thoughts on marketing, this is actually a recommendation from Neil. There is a great book called Traction, and it talks about different channels for gaining marketing traction. And then I'd love to hear more about some of the marketing techniques or tactics that you are currently using. But the first thing that came to mind when you mentioned marketing was there has been some traction on marketing. It's going viral with women entrepreneurs that are working in what's traditionally male-dominated spaces. And I think of this article on CNN where a lot of women truckers that own businesses are going viral. So wondering if there could be some sort of virality there or a marketing channel, but would love to hear what you're currently doing and what your thoughts are.
That's great, Dominique. Have you done any thought about what that would look like, Sunny, about the marketing? I know you haven't launched, but have you thought about that?
Not really, no. I just kind of been focusing on getting the platform set.
Yeah, I would probably push it to Dominique. Dominique, if you're gonna have someone start with that, what would that look like? Is there one platform she should look at doing? Like you said, that whole trucker story. Did they start off by just being on LinkedIn or and is that how it got?
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting insight. It started out on TikTok. So there are female truckers that are now sharing their journeys. They're doing inspirational talks. They're highlighting, fitness that they're doing while they're staying on the road, and then also highlighting some of the challenges that they've overcome making their way in this space.
That's great. TikTok. Yeah, I have a teenagers. Totally got that right. And even I think one of our startups before Go Surf, they got so many users from doing a simple TikTok piece. So we've seen the power of that platform for sure. I'll go with Neil. Neil's always like this kind of sage. He's sitting back pondering life and startups. Neil, you have known the gamut of all these different types of startups when they're starting at this level. What's some feedback you give Sunny?
Yeah, thanks for that. You put me on the spot first, so it's good to take it all in now. And I realize I just asked you a question, didn't give you feedback before. So I'm going to play off that co-founder piece. Something that I'm seeing is that, the waiting to build blank, right? Waiting to have the co-founder blank. And I think what will even impress and attract the right co-founder and the right talent around you is to see, here's what I'm doing with what I can, right? Here's how I'm going and reaching out and getting to know my ideal customer. And even if I don't have the platform yet for them to click buy, I'm getting some form of buy mentality from them that is guiding my direction in how I'm going to market or how I'm going to scale and stuff like that. So I think showing that momentum, that traction is good, not just for potential investors, but also the talent and the co-founder around you who sees that you're not just going to wait to build, you are building every piece you can with your physical abilities,
Yeah.
So I think that's good in that regard. It also just is good for customer development, right? To get out and get as much face time as possible with the person, lead them right to the water so that they're saying, give it to me already. I can't wait. Like, let me put my money down. So I'm the first customer as soon as it's there, like pre-order or a wait list. That's kind of the best buying mentality you could get, is that the people are kind of foaming at the mouth saying, man, I can't wait for what you've got. It sounds incredible already. And that's great buying behavior. Or the opposite. The person's like, let me know once you got something. You kind of want to keep them hungry and keep them feeding you knowledge and information about the industry that you're serving. So just that customer development, the more you can do and be there with your potential customer is great in that regard.
That's great, Neil. I even love that momentum. I was thinking, I just heard something from Sam Alton from White Combinator. He said, startups is this momentum game. You just you gotta just keep on these little wins. So that's great. You know what? Your cohort, Trippy, you had a really great insights earlier on. I'll let you want to unmute yourself and just give one of your peers some feedback.
Excuse me. First of all, Sunny, great job. What a fun presentation and a really needed product. And thanks for everyone else on this call for offering such great feedback. So my question is to make it easy and to just give people things the way that they want it, even if they don't know. So to some other people's points of like, well, then if I'm looking so specifically for something, what if, and I know plans are different, but what if I was able to scan each plan in? And then from those plans, I'm like, okay, here are all the botanical needs someone has. Here are all the building needs someone has, or here's all the stuff. And then you do your mapping sort of magic where you're like, here's the mulch, here are all the competitions prices. Here are those flowers, here are all their prices, here are those rocks. And this way, if you were able to do that, you leave the choice up to the person, the GC, that then they know, and they can look through it and alter to hit spec and to hit price. They can do that. Is that something that you might consider?
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to Trippy, because we were talking about that even for your product, like how can you scan and get all that data first and then make it easy to kind of use. So I like how you're taking it.
The only thing that I would say though, as far as like scanning, like there's a little bit of okay, let me show you. Let me just go to that slide really fast. Okay. You see, oh no, not this one. Come on. Okay, this one. There's this little ruler here that GCs look at, so this one right here shows that for every 1 inch equals 10 feet. So like I would be able to, tell them the name of the supplier that would supply this forest bulk mulch, right? But as far as like how much they're asking for, like luckily for this plan, they told you already they need 4,761 yards of this stuff or square feet of it. But if they didn't have it, they would have to take this plan and actually sit and measure the whole part that has that area. So yeah, I can tell them like, here's a list of suppliers. That's perfect. But I kind of want to make it to where it's just like, just giving them the list. Because then another thing too is I can measure it for them, or I can put it in the system. They're still going to want to check it to make sure that what they're doing is right. Because if they order too less, then they have to keep you getting an order. Like let's say they're 10 yards short, and this product is only a 20 yard minimum. That's money. They're stuck with another 10 yards. Or if they order too much, they're stuck with it. So either way, it's I can do that, but that's one of the difficulties of if that were to happen though. That's something I would have to consider.
Well,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it did make sense to me, but I did like what that concept looks like, and then maybe that is your competitive advantage if you maybe figure out what that looks like. Sometimes these problems actually become really good because it gives you that secret sauce.
Right.
Super quickly. I mean, I've seen a lot of these big players like Wayfair, Amazon. If you say, here's the size that I need wallpaper for, or that I need paneling for, or whatever, it calculates it for you. I'm just saying, if you made it super easy for the end user of here's everything that's on your plan, you put in the measurements, boom, here's what it's going to cost you, and here's what's going to cost among 4 different people, because the magic that you're offering is the mapping behind the scenes. Right. The magic that you're offering is forest mulch is the same as walk-on mulch, is the same as some other name. You don't have to get it from here. You can mix and match, and you can save time and money, which is your value proposition. But just
yeah, good idea, Tripty.
But great job, Sunny.
Thank you.
And thanks for helping behind the scenes, Tripty, on all that. What I want to do is give some final thoughts with some of the guest mentors, guest sharks. I'll start with Professor Clark.
Anyway, good job, Sunny. I do think that this has come a long way since we started a while back, and I've noticed that you've taken a lot of advice from people and incorporated it. So I think it's going in the right direction, and I look forward to seeing how it continues to go. So I think going back to Neil's point, if there's ways in which we can help get you up and running before you have an engineer in place, little things that we can do to make it possible, I think that would be kind of a good next step.
Thanks, Professor Clark. Alicia, any final thoughts?
Hi, yes, this is really so great. And I really applaud you for seeing inefficiencies in an area and taking a chance, you're a stab at solving the problem. So my advice to you is keep going. The road to entrepreneurship can be really, really challenging. It can seem extremely lonely, but as you can tell by this call, you're surrounded by a great network of people that are here to support you. Our community needs you to be successful. So just really keep going, know that you've got what it takes, and really just trust your intuition as a woman when you're looking for the right partners and things, and trust, like, does this feel right and align with my values? So bringing that up again, but thank you for sharing this with us today.
Thanks, Alicia. Kyle, any final thoughts?
Just reiterating what everyone else has said, I think you have a great solution. You should definitely keep going. It will be hard, but I think as long as you keep perfecting what you have, I think you'll be fine. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Thanks, Kyle. Dominique, last thoughts?
Great job, Sunny. Really enjoyed your presentation. Enjoyed hearing about your subject matter expertise in this area. I think you're going to do amazing things. And similar to what Alicia said, getting that team in place, looking into marketing business interns through the Workforce Partnership or our local ISA. I think that's going to be that next big step for you. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Thanks, Dominique. Neil, I'll let you get your final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll start speed networking. But Neil, thanks for coming on.
Sure. Well, thank you, Sunny, for giving your time. It's when you're running a company, you got 10 things that are hot at the moment, right? Hard to prioritize. And so taking feedback from a bunch of people who you barely know is a big deal and big step. And will be a continual process of figuring out how to filter someone's feedback versus someone else. And so I leave you with remember to continue to work with people who can help advance you forward and have domain expertise in these areas so that they can help you cut corners legally, right? Get you cut off a year's worth of development because they've done it twice before. So always remember that domain expertise from people shouldn't be undervalued, and always look to bring those people around you. So keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Sunny, any final thoughts from you? And you did a great job.
Thanks. I all I can say is thank you to everybody for your advice, for your all of it. Yeah, thank you.
That's great. You can stop sharing your screen, and I'll hand it over to Stephen. And Stephen, you can wrap up this session, and we can maybe start the speed networking.
Absolutely, yeah. So just to echo what Curling said, and Sunny and everyone else who gave their final thoughts, thanks everyone for tuning in today. Thanks for everyone for being able to join in on the call. Thank you for our guest mentors, our sharks, if you will, for taking time out of their busy schedules to jump on and give Sunny some feedback and to listen to her presentation. But as always, yeah, thank you for tuning into another edition of Tech School. Just to echo some thoughts from the beginning, if you have a chance, feel free to give us a like, leave a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube, share your thoughts, ask a question. We want this to be an awesome resource, not only for those who are able to make it on the call in person, but also those who are able to watch these recorded, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur or just something, just somebody wanting to, hear the feedback and learn something from a video like this. So feel free to continue to make this a community of learning for everyone involved. But as always, we will see you in the next episode.